Hello, Kimberly here, and we are going to look at fight. So many of us are so good at fighting and we're so used to it, and it has made us, pretty successful. We fought to get our job, we fought to get promoted, we fought to stay alive, we fought to prove ourselves, we're fighters, and that isn't a bad thing necessarily. But what happens when it no longer works in your best interest? What happens when that's your tool for almost everything? What happens if that's what you're using when you raise your children, or when you talk to your significant other, or with your girlfriends, or just in anything that doesn't really require a fight? So first off, it's just not healthy for you. It's not good for your mind. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your gut. It wears us out. And we don't want our mind to get stuck in that loop of fight, or that's the response that it's gonna have every single time, even when it's not appropriate. So some questions that we can ask ourselves, or even when you see that woman over there that seems to fight everything and is always involved in a fight and always has stuff going on, instead of like recoiling from her, instead of, calling her names or whatever, maybe use it to kind of judge what could be going on in your life a little bit. And some questions to always ask yourself, or ask yourself when you're looking at somebody else's behavior, is this my fight? Is it my fight? Because remember, if you're just used to fighting everything, you might not be stopping to think, is this my fight? Is it worth my energy? Is it worth my efforts? Is it appropriate for me to fight this battle? What is my goal? What is my end goal of this fight? And what will I win? Or who will win and what? And just as important is who will lose and what. Some of these things that we fight, is it really worth there being somebody who loses? And what is that individual gonna lose? This is worth thinking about. This is definitely worth thinking about. So remember how we're trying to always widen the gap between something happening and us having to react? This is a really good time to do that. If you feel the urge to fight something and it's not truly survival, widen that gap. Step away physically if you can, mentally for sure. Just add some time before you say anything, or add some time before you react. Now, I'll be honest, I don't mind being known as a scrappy survivor. I don't mind being known as somebody who can fight when the time is right. I don't mind that people say, Lieutenant, you really know how to pick your battles. I don't mind that. I like that. I hope historically that I've made very good decisions on what I fight and what I don't fight. I look back now and I see some that I am extremely glad, some situations that I'm extremely glad I handled it the way that I handled it. There's some other times when I think I might have fought a little too hard, a little too forceful, and did not allow the relationship to survive after the strife. There's not very many times when I wish I would have fought when I didn't. So it's kind of very interesting to think about. And I'm sure as I get older and I step farther away from all the trauma and I step farther away from all the drama, maybe I will think differently about it. But here's a question to ask ourselves. We say we don't mind being known as tough, and we don't mind being bold, and we don't mind being brave. But what do we want to be known for? Do we want to be known as being the fighter of what? I mean, what are you fighting for? Are you just fighting everything? You know, the drawer, the little cartoon guy that is at fairs and stuff, I think it's called a caricature drawer. What would your caricature be? I mean, would you just be this like crazy woman with your hair going everywhere and like spit coming out of your mouth and just, your cheeks bright and red and, everything's just a mess all the time? Or is it the righteous indignation that gets you up to fight for something? I think another way to look at it is, fighting for, like I mentioned a minute ago, but you're not really fighting with. And I'll give you an example. When you are in a disagreement with your significant other, you're not fighting against, you're not fighting with your husband, your wife, your significant other. You're fighting for the relationship, or you're fighting for that individual. When you're fighting your ex, maybe step back and say, am I fighting my ex or am I fighting for my children? What is the fight? What is the end goal? What do we need out of this? And can I walk away? Years ago, something was happening. It was very emotional for me, which is a sign. If it's emotional, step back. And I had 2 words that I was going to send back on my phone, and one of them rhymed with duck. So let's just say I was saying duck you. And my husband looked at me and said, is that how you want to be? Is that how you want to be? Because I was going to send this message back to somebody who was really messing with something that was really important to me. And my husband was like, is that what you want to be? If somebody were to look back at this, is that what you want to be? And I was like, dang it. I was really happy with my answer and everything. And I didn't do it. And I am so glad that I didn't do it in that situation, because I had done it previously. I'm not proud of it. I'm kind of embarrassed by it, but I stopped. And that's the important thing, is I recognized it and I stopped. So I stopped that fight. I stopped that struggle. And I look back and I'm glad that somebody cared enough to help me. So what I hope that you get out of this is you recognize if your emotions are up. You recognize if your fight or flight has been activated. You decide, do I have to fight? Do I need to fight? What do I get out of this? Is it worth it? What is another way I can handle it? And that is a very important thing right there, is how else can I handle this situation? Don't always have a hammer and always think it's a nail. We don't always have to fight, but you are the one who needs to recognize in yourself if this is an issue for you. So hopefully these questions get you thinking. If not right now, maybe throughout your week, something comes up and you can think back on it. Please hit subscribe on this channel. And also you can find my website of tothepointcoach.org, and also on Facebook on Bold and Brave Women. My name is Kimberly Stratman. I am a life coach for high performing women. I help you get out of survival mode while keeping your edge. I take those same skills and I help first responders have a healthy, no regrets retirement. So again, we don't have to fight. We don't have to fight. We don't have to fight. So thanks a bunch, y'all. Bye-bye.